Today's lesson is on cosine law. Let's recall, how do we label non-right angled triangles? If we have a non-right angled triangle, we cannot use the opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse because those only refer to the sides of a right angled triangle. Another naming convention that we have is using capital letters to represent the angles, and the corresponding sides, meaning the side across from the angle, is represented by the little letters. So we have B, and from C we have little c. These are all pairs. They're called corresponding angle and side because they match up. Now, why does the cosine law remind me of sandwiches? Let me tell you about sandwiches. So, what's your favorite sandwich? Peanut butter and jam, cold cuts and cheese, meatball submarine, shawarma, another kind? It doesn't really matter, but pretty much you're always going to have your bread on the bottom, something in the middle, and then a piece of bread on top. Now, you'll notice that the cosine law is like that too. If it starts with an A, it ends in an A. If it starts with a B, it ends in a B. Same if it starts with a C, then it ends with a C. And everything else is thrown in between. Now, another thing that you'll notice is that when we are looking at our cosine law, it involves one angle and three sides. So let's draw this diagram here. Triangle PQR. PQR. So I've got the corresponding sides R, corresponding Q, and corresponding P. If I'm looking for side R, then I would put R at the front, and then it has to end with the R as well. So my equation in this case, I have R squared is equal to P squared plus Q squared minus 2PQ cosine R. Okay, let's take a look. We have angle R and the corresponding side R, and we also have P and Q. So it involves our three sides and the corresponding angle of the side that I'm looking for. Okay, we have triangle here, DE and F. If I am trying to solve for side F, I would need to start with equation F and end with F. I'm going to put the general equation for the sine law here. So instead of A now, I'm going to substitute F where the A is. And then my other two sides will be D and E. So I have F squared is equal to D squared plus E squared minus 2DE cosine F. If I'm looking for angle D, I need to set it up relative to angle D. So I need to start with the D and end with the D. So D squared is equal to E squared plus F squared minus 2EF cosine D. Let's create a triangle here. Triangle DEF. We have angle D, which is 50 degrees. Side E is equal to 10, and side F is equal to 8 meters. Another reason that cosine reminds me of sandwiches is because when I see a triangle that has an angle sandwich, we have a triangle that I can use cosine for. So when I say an angle sandwich, I have here side, angle, side. Okay, so since we're looking for side D, let's write down the equation. D squared is equal to E squared plus F squared minus EF cosine D. Let's substitute the values in. We have D squared is equal to 10 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 10 times 8. Let's continue to solve. Oops, I forgot to write down cosine 50. Let's continue to solve. D squared is equal to 100 plus 64 minus 160 cosine 50. Now be very careful because 160 times cosine 50 is not a like term, so I cannot add it to those. So let's note negative 160 cosine 50 is not a like term. We can't add or subtract it. So that means when I simplify, I have d squared is equal to 164 minus 160 cosine 50. Now this is called our exact answer, but I can continue to solve by taking the square root. Oops, not quite our exact answer yet. We have to take the square root of it to get the exact answer. 164 minus 160 times cosine 50, and this is our exact answer. Let's put this into our calculator to get our rounded answer. 164 times 160 cosine 50. And we have D is equal to 7.8 meters. On the next slide, I'd like you to try this on your own. Pause it, and I will post the answer soon. This is the solution to the question that you're trying on your own. I just want to point out once again that these ones can't be simplified because they're not like terms. And so you would take the square root of it to get your rounded answer of 5.9. Another example, we can use the cosine law to find any angle if we have three sides. Let's draw this triangle, JER. We have angle J. So side J is equal to 5 centimeters. Side E is 6 centimeters, and R is equal to 8 centimeters. Now we need to find R to the nearest degree. Now, because we're finding r, we need to write an equation that reflects angle r. So it has to include angle r, meaning I am going to write an equation that starts with r and it'll end with r. Okay, let's substitute the values in. 8 squared equals 6 squared plus 5 squared minus 2 times 6 times 5 times cosine r. Let's simplify. 64 is equal to 36 plus 25 minus 60 times cosine r. Okay, let's collect our like terms now. 64 is equal to 61 minus 60 cosine r. Now, once again, we can't subtract the right side because they're not like terms. Instead, we're going to rearrange it. So I have 64 minus 61 is equal to negative 60 cosine r. 3 is equal to negative 60 cosine r. And now we're going to put this as a fraction. 3 over negative 60 is equal to cosine r. And to undo our cosine, we're going to take cosine inverse. This is equal to r. And we have r is equal to 92.9 degrees. Let's round it to 93 degrees. Okay, pause this video on your own again, try it on your own, and I will put up the solution soon. Okay, this is the solution to the try this on your own question. One thing I wanted to point out is that if you have 3 sides, it doesn't matter what angle you're solving for, you're able to solve it as long as you can include it into the equation and you write the other sides in the correct order. Okay, last example here. Use cosine law to find an angle or to solve for the triangle. Solve for PQR. Sorry, excuse the typo. Given that angle Q is 130 degrees, little r is 8 and p is 10. Solve all sides accurate to 1 decimal place and angles to the nearest degree. So I have triangle 130 degrees, and oops, this is Q. Side Q is unknown. Angle R, and we have side R is equal to 8. And P is there, and side P has 10. Now, first, we're going to solve for side Q using cosine law. If q squared is equal to p squared plus r squared minus 2pr cosine 130. Let's substitute the values in. Q squared is equal to 10 squared plus 8 squared minus 2 times 10 times 8 times cosine 30. Now you can simplify that, or you could put it all into the square root. And we have the square root of 164 minus 160 times cosine 30. So our rounded answer for the side will be 16.3. Now the fact that our answer is rounded already will change our angles slightly, and it won't be perfectly accurate. Hey, second thing, let's solve for one of the angles. Use cosine law to find angle R. So R squared is equal to Q squared plus P squared minus 2QP cosine R. Let's substitute our values in. 8 squared is equal to 16.3 squared plus 10 squared minus 2 times 16.3 times 10 times cosine R. I'm going to simplify. So 64 is equal to 265.69 plus 100 minus 326 cosine R. Let's rearrange now. 64 minus 265.69 minus 100 is equal to negative 326 cosine R. Let's substitute, or let's simplify. And we have negative 301.59. Let's divide it by negative 326, and this is equal to cosine R. Okay, let's continue to simplify. We're going to undo the cosine now. 301.59 over 326. So I made it positive because the two negatives gave us a positive. And we have R is equal to 22.313. Let's round this. 22 degrees. So as a result of that, we can find angle P. And we're going to do that by the theory of interior angles. So angle P is equal to 180 degrees minus 130 degrees minus 22. So P is equal to 28 degrees. slide number 10. Try this on your own, and you can check your answer with me in class. All right, that's the video on the basics of the cosine law.